We're going to talk about 4 things: the character panel, the direct select tool, grouping, and clipping masks. Okay? These are all very, very important. Obviously, all the things I'm showing y'all are important. That's why I'm showing them to you. But if you can sort of get a grasp on these 4 tools or concepts, then I think you'll be able to really start customizing your Elements of Art booklets. Okay? So let's make sure we're all paying attention, please. No phones should be out. Y'all should be following along with me either on my screen or on your computer or both. Some of you need to do what I'm doing in order to commit it to, ow, I just poked myself in the eye, in order to commit it to memory, okay? Some of you can get it just by watching. So you self-manage and figure out which way works best for you, okay? First tool, character panel. So just like before, with my selection tool, I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on a body of text. It can be a line of text or it can be a paragraph of text. I'm going to go with a line just because it's bigger. Okay, my character panel. This is where I can adjust the font family like we just talked about. I'm actually going to pick I'll go with this Lehigh that I just downloaded this morning. I really like this Lehigh. Okay, so up here is my font family in the first drop down. The second drop down sets the font style, as Illustrator calls it. It's really the font weights. Okay, so thin is a weight, light is a weight. These are all different weights of the font. And you can tell they're gradually getting thicker and thicker with each option. It's really nice to have options in your font families because, let's say, for example, you're working for a corporate company and they say, all right, you can use Lehigh and you can use Gotham. And those are the only 2 fonts you can use for our branding standards. Those are the only 2 fonts you can use when you design anything for us. Okay? If Gotham has like 6 or 7 different weights, which it does, that allows me to have more like variety and that allows me to do more with my text in terms of formatting. So it's very, very nice to have more weights, and that's why you always want to download and install all of these when you're downloading fonts. Okay? The font size is, the font size is this top left little option clicky thingy. I don't know what you call that. Okay, super easy. Click, click. You can also manually enter the number and hit enter. Okay. Leading, I'm going to use my paragraph text for this. What do y'all think leading has to do with? This one right here. What? Somebody made a guess. What was your guess? Anybody from looking at this little icon? Yes? Yes, spacing is different. Spacing between what? The lines of text. Exactly, Alan. Nice. If I have a larger leading, look, it's adding more space in between my rows of text. Which do y'all think is easier for our eye to read? Less leading or more leading?
More.
More, yes. Okay, obviously you don't want your leading to be like that. Don't get crazy. But it is nicer to have a little more breathing room between these lines of text. Uh-oh, look what we've got here. Y'all know what this is called? This one word on a row by itself. I think we talked about it. Was that this class? Mr. who? Mr. Lou? Yeah. Do you remember what he said?
No, he said it yesterday.
Yeah. It's actually called a widow. Aw, poor widow. She's all by herself. We don't want her to be by herself. There, now she's got friends. Okay? We'll talk about widows more later. Second thing is letting. Okay, the third thing is really, Illustrator calls it the kerning. It's not. Basically, all you need to know is that always set this to optical unless it's a cursive font or a script font, aka. So if I've got a script font, cursive font, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. I don't want my kerning to be optical because it's going to mess with the way this font actually types out. I'm going to leave it to auto, not metrics. Okay. On all of my other fonts, I'm going to set that to optical though. Okay. Optical, bam, done. What do y'all think kerning is? We played one of the games had to do with kerning. What? Yes, nudging it side to side. So kerning affects the amount of space between the letters. Can y'all see this as I'm clicking on a different number? It's adjusting the spacing between the letters. Okay, which do y'all think is easier for our eye to read? A lower kerning or like really tight kerning or a looser kerning? Looser, yes. It's easier for our eye to read looser kerning. So think about that with your body copy. Okay, what's your kerning? If your kerning is set to negative 100, ooh, that hurts my eyes to try to read that. Ooh, look at that nice breathing room between those letters. Okay? Oops. And these two things, the vertical scale, ignore those, okay? Don't ever scale your text past 100 or less than 100 because what's that doing? It does make it look bad. It's stretching my type, okay? And stretching type is a huge, huge no-no. If you need to manipulate your type for some reason, there's another way to do that, and I'll show y'all that later. But don't ever adjust these to be more or less than 100. Okay? Yes?
I'm trying with a different font, and it's giving me regular. It doesn't give me the option of
different. Yeah, not all fonts have multiple weights. See, like this always in my heart, I don't have anything but regular.
Okay.
So it's just dependent on how that type designer made that font family. Did they just make one weight or did they make a bunch? Yeah. So if they just made one weight, that's all you've got.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Baseline, y'all remember what baseline is? Yes, the bottom line, what? Yes, what the letters sit on, exactly. So, if I'm going to adjust my baseline, I can adjust that invisible line that my letter is sitting on. Okay? So, I can move it up, I can move it down, I can move it way down, okay? Sometimes it may just be easier for you to break up the letters and have like 4 individual text boxes instead of playing with the baseline. That's fine. You'll kind of learn like what the quickest workflow is for you, okay? Just make sure all phones are away, please. This last one has to do with character rotation. So basically, it just rotates the angle of the letters, and that'll kind of adjust the text box too, depending on the angle. I honestly don't ever really use this, okay? This bottom row, we can do in all caps So sometimes I like to type stuff in lowercase, and then if I think I might need it all caps, that's just one click, whereas if you type it in all caps, there's not one click to make it go lowercase. Small caps is very similar to all caps, but the small caps will be like a miniature version of the capital letter. You can also do, let me zoom in so y'all can see. You can also make superscripts or subscripts, you know, like numbers in math, a superscript, 1 to the 3rd power, the 3 is a superscript. So you can do superscript or subscript. You can underline your text in the text box. You can strike through it. It's got all of that basic formatting like, you know, Google or Word or something like that. Okay? Any questions about the character panel? No. Okay. Second thing we're going to talk about is the direct select tool. Okay. Let's say I use my handy dandy brush tool that we learned about yesterday. And I've got this awesome shape. Oh man, y'all, look how awesome that shape is. Okay? This white arrow next to my black arrow up at the top is called the direct select tool. Okay? It will be your best friend if you let it. Okay? It's got a caret, and underneath it there's this group selection tool. I honestly don't ever use it. I don't think it was a thing invented when I started learning Illustrator. So it's just not really a part of my workflow, and I don't really know how it works. So if one of y'all figure this out and it's super handy to you, let me know, okay? Direct select tool. Let me get a yellow stroke because it's really easy to see with a yellow stroke. Okay. Right now, because I've been on this object with my selection tool, you can see that all of these anchor points are filled in with blue, right? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Are y'all paying attention?
Yes.
Braden, you paying attention? What are we talking about right now? What are we talking about right now?
I don't know. All I remember is that's what the group select was. So I was told
Oh, you're playing with it? Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, if all of my anchor points are selected, or no, if I use the selection tool, all of my anchor points, I may accidentally call these nodes sometimes, like N-O-D-E-S. If I do, that means anchor points. It's just a different term from this other program, okay? So node, anchor point mean the same thing. Right now, they are all blue. If I click on one of them, look, the rest of them turn white. I know it's kind of hard to see, but when I zoom in, the little squares don't get any bigger. So the rest of them have turned white, and now the only one that I've clicked on is blue. That means that whatever I do with this node or anchor point is only affecting that anchor point. Okay? So I can drag it and move it. I can nudge it with my arrows on my keypad. Okay? I can also adjust my handles. You remember handles we talked about with that Bezier game? You remember the Bezier game where you were trying to trace around objects? Okay? You can drag the handles and adjust those. Okay? And basically, it allows you to manipulate your shape after you've drawn it. Okay? My path is broken. So the direct selection tool is awesome because if you don't get it right the first time, that's okay. You're going to be able to manipulate it. Okay? These up here are different tools that different options within this tool. So let's say I want this anchor point gone. If I just hit delete on my keyboard, it breaks my path. Look. There's no path where there just was because I deleted it. But if I click this minus to remove that selected anchor point, it'll just get rid of it for me and keep my path intact. Okay. I can also convert my handles. So maybe I want this handle or this point to be a corner. If I click that, it gets rid of my handles. If I convert it to smooth, it gives me handles back. Okay. I can also cut the path at the selected anchor point. So maybe I want to cut my path right here. If I do that, it now becomes 2 points. See, I cut my path. It's like cutting a string with scissors. Any questions about direct select tool? So it's super handy in manipulating one anchor point or one node at a time. Grouping. All right, these last two things will be pretty quick. Grouping and clipping masks, so I need y'all to stay with me, alrighty? If I hold down shift while I'm with the selection tool, not the direct select, if I hold down shift, I can select multiple objects. Okay, right now I've got all 3 of these selected because I held down shift and I clicked all 3 of them. If I right click, I can group them. So then, you know, if I'm changing color, I'm changing this definition, blah, 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 whatever. I'm doing other stuff. So when I come back to this and I click it once, all of my objects stay together because I've grouped them. It's kind of like putting them in a folder. They're all in one folder or one group. If I right click it again, I can ungroup them and then move each of them individually. Okay, grouping, ungrouping, pretty simple. Any questions about that? Last thing, let's say I have this picture of this beautiful rose. Maybe my background of this page is black. And I don't want this white background on this rose. I just want it to be a rose. Okay?
Can you take the paint bucket tool and just click on the white part?
Nope, can't paint it, unfortunately.
Can't you just like turn it transparent?
Nope. I'm going to do a clipping mask, okay? And what that is basically a clipping mask is like a frame. Alright? There are other ways I could get rid of this white background. I could vectorize it, but for the point of showing y'all clipping masks, I want to show y'all, okay? Because they're super handy. And if y'all are wanting images to fit in a certain spot of your document, clipping masks are going to come in handy. So I'm treating this blue circle as my frame. It's like putting a picture in a picture frame. Okay, the blue circle is my frame. The rose is my image. Okay, so I'm going to click my blue circle because I want to click my frame first. And then I shift click my image. So now they're both selected. Now if I right click, I can select make clipping mask. And now all you see is my rose that I wanted in that frame. Okay, it's called a clipping mask. So if you look, if I'm hovering, my image is still there, but when I click on it, I'm just dragging that circle or that frame around. Okay? If maybe I decide I want the rose to be larger within the frame, I can double click and enter that clipping mask. It's like going into the matrix or something, okay? And then I can click that image, enlarge it, all that good stuff. I know it's almost time to go, but y'all stay with me. And then I've got to exit that isolation mode. I've got to like back out of the clipping mask, okay? Any questions about clipping masks? You can make a custom shape. You can draw a shape. If you need help making clipping masks for your booklet, let me know and we'll work on that together. Okay?